Hey there, thought we could talk about the Olympic thing. I'm not a big fan of videos, you may know, but I do like showing off my fake library background, so that's pretty cool. The Olympics, so you may know I wrote a book called Unoffendable, and it's about taking offense and forgiveness. And I think it's important, a couple takes that I've seen out there in social media world. One is essentially like, why do you feel mocked? You shouldn't feel mocked. I mean, there's no insult there. Nobody's insulting anybody. I think it probably is an insult, and I'm kind of surprised that the people who did the opening ceremonies thing and planned this, that they're surprised. Like, I'm not sure what your cultural IQ would need to be to go, wait, the Christians didn't like the drag queen Last Supper. I don't understand what's going on. I think they probably probably had some understanding of that, but that's not the point. You know what the point is? When someone insults you, Jesus actually says you should be happy about it on his account. If you're insulted on his account, actually be happy about it for a couple reasons. And one of them is it gives you a chance and me a chance to, if it is an insult, we don't have to not acknowledge it. Just be like, nobody is ever insulting me, or nobody ever slaps me in the face. No, sometimes you can acknowledge, hey, you just slapped me in the face. But what is my reaction to it? He said we can be happy about it because it gives us a chance to bless them and to pray for them. And when we do that, that's when we're most like our Father in heaven, who gives rain to the just and the unjust. He blesses people, whether they deserve it or not. And that's a beautiful thing. So actually being happy about it would be the actual correct take from Jesus for people who are interested in his way of being. And then to pray for these people, and not just pray like, Lord, smite them in thy whatever. Like, you pray that they'd be blessed. And I literally mean, like, if you're watching the tableau of the Last Supper thing that they were doing a mockery of, like, each individual is precious to God who's up there. That's a fact. And we can pray that they'd be happy and fulfilled and at peace, and just pray for blessings to come to them. And someone said, hey, that's a good idea. We should all pray for people, we hate, or people we think are evil, and then we can see what happens. Like, if we were all praying for this politician or this evil whatever, and we'll see if they change. And I appreciate that question. I don't know if they'll change. That's not really the point. But you know what? I know if believers did this, we would change. And God is very interested in who we're becoming. Praying for our enemies, loving our enemies, blessing them, changes our hearts. And it happens actually fairly quickly if you ever do it. If you ever actually do this, sometimes while you're praying, you can start rooting for people. And again, it changes us. And so at first that might seem like an impossible ask. I know for some people who haven't been discipled or whatever, that like this whole idea is just sounds crazy, but you can do it anyway. Even if you're not feeling it, you do it anyway out of obedience, because Jesus showed us this way to live. The most natural reaction is to lash back, of course, when somebody smacks you. That's just human. But there's something incredibly beautiful about having the freedom to say, no, that's not how I'm going to do this. I'm actually going to bless you. That's remarkable. But we can do that. You actually can do that. It becomes more and more natural as you do it. It becomes more and more like, even in the moment, you can acknowledge, wow, you just hit me. But I'm free to respond in a different way. I'm not totally going to be manipulated by you. You don't get to dictate my mentality. You don't get to dictate my response. You don't get to dictate my heart, my attitude. That's called freedom. And Jesus is all about that. And it's actually a wonderful way to live. It's always a wonderful way to live. Everything he says is good for us. Every single thing he says actually is a way to live that's better. So this is a teachable moment. You should be happy. And if you do feel insulted, that's okay. And then you acknowledge it, and then you respond in a way that's completely shocking and actually wonderful. And you pray for these people and you root for them. And Jesus said, what reward do you get if you only pray or you only bless people who already like you, like your family? Like, big deal. The mafia does that. Like, but he didn't say the mafia, but you know what I'm talking about. But what reward will you have? And doing this, though, this is the stuff. This is the actual stuff. This is, if you want to be an actual disciple of Jesus, an apprentice, here's our chance. I think it's a good chance. Thanks for listening to this, watching this, whatever you're doing.